something very long to say, but I just feel so good right now because it's great to be in a room with all my favorite people. But I think, I don't think humanistic psychology and person-centered learning will die at Sonoma State, because I think I've noticed evolution of, like, from Sandy's teachers, and I'm sure Maria and Susan's teachers, and Art's teachers, how it's flowed, and I see myself as, I suppose, the new generation. And I feel like I have learned not psychology, but life skills, I suppose. I remember I was in one psychology class with another professor, and I argued against her point, and she said, well, you know why? Because your training is in this department, Humanistic Psychology. And I was like, oh, it's like I've been trained to, like, think very actively and very much as a living being versus a passive robot. But it's fun to be in a room with all these people and just listening to, it's great. But I feel very wonderful right now.
It's your fault.
I was going to say, I think in answer to your question, like, as to how to keep it alive, it is really kind of just that, in that, to keep it alive, you kind of need to internalize it and take it with you to, like, other classes, But, like, I have a similar story. I had a psychology class with a, like, I guess a non-person-centered learning style, and it just wasn't working for me. And at some point or another, after answering 100 A, B, C, or D questions about, like, human development, and we finally get to the short answer questions, and the questions I felt were very leading and biased as to, like, they seemed like they were opinion questions that were forcing you down a path that didn't actually make it available to give your actual opinion. It was like, which of the opinions in the book do you want to use? Which of the opinions have you adopted as your own? And my opinion was over here. So instead of writing a short answer to the question, I wrote a 2-page essay about psychological ethics and why I thought that her question being biased was in violation of psychological ethics.
Nice.
And the next class period, she before class started, pulled me out of my seat, and we stepped outside, and she said that she thought I made some very good points and that I would get full points on those short answer questions. And that was like the shining moment of my educational career, I think. Just like, because I think that was like one of, like, 3 moments that I remember when I felt like, oh, I'm an adult now? And it's just that sort of thing, and it's like beyond that, that was like a year or 2 ago, and, like, after that, like, this semester, I'm going to a class that I'm not enrolled in, because I want to learn, but I know that I'm not going to be able to learn in the way that can pass the test. In fact, I talked to the professor 2 semesters before the class is offered, because it's only offered once every 2 years. And I talked to her ahead of time and asked her, do you think that I could just take this class without having taken classes before it and pass it? And she said that I would probably be able to get a C. And I said, well, what would I take before it? And there was like, basically I need to start along the energy technology path of the environmental studies department in order to actually get a good grade in this class. So right now I'm just showing up to the class every day, and I'm taking notes on things. I'm actually taking the tests, but I don't own the books for it, and I'm not doing the homework for it. I've done pretty well on the tests so far, and I'm just, like, learning things about solar panels and energy technology that I just find incredibly interesting, that I most likely won't use in my career, but I still, just that self-enrichment, of learning for the sake of learning. I think that's really where humanistic, person-centered learning comes in. And I think if we can just take that into our lives, and maybe even, like, hey, buddy who isn't in psychology department, do that too, just, like, start with your friends, I guess, that's how you keep it spreading, and if you want to spread it, and just, like, that to me, just keep it internal, because for the time being, you can't you know, that's the safest place, you know.
I find myself constantly looking for new avenues and researching anything that wakes me up to what I'm processing in the moment, and having that door kind of open for me through art. It's really given me that freedom, and I find I do more research now than I did when I was given a topic and told, this is what you must do, give me 5. Now I go through it, and I'm into 27, and I'm still looking for more, because I'm hungry for what I'm after. I'm trying to work through the process, and I'm looking for everything around me that relates to it and relates to me and what I'm processing in the moment. And I was doing something on Native American communities, and I started going back to Berkeley's Colbert Library and going into the archival resources of, you know, the 1800s, just because it woke me up. And I was just hungry for it. And so I see the integration of the old methodology as a format that I could use to help me on my exploration. So I don't see it as an either or, but a both and I find myself self-motivated to that research instead of, okay, give me 5, and no, I'm looking everything that I hear around me. I'm taking notes. Who's the book? Who said that? Where can I explore it further? What web page do I go? I'm like a little sponge right now, looking around and saying, oh, how can that affect my research into community psychology? And how does it evolve? And how do we create a growth pattern of what the communal needs are, and how do we give back to each other? And those are questions that I wouldn't have been able to process just saying, okay, I have 5 different books you're supposed to read, and no, I'm going everywhere for it now. So it's like that.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that I have thoroughly enjoyed this discussion, even though this is one of the few groups that I've been in that I have said something. And, but it's been it felt right to me. There was so much richness in what you're talking about. I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for having me here, and I'm going to be coming back. I'm still learning, I hope. I know I'm the oldest guy here. I got my 82nd birthday coming up. And but I feel like I'm still starting all over in many ways. It's great. So thank you.
It's 2 o'clock. I just spoke with the woman at the desk, and she said that we are the only ones that have the room all day. So I think that maybe some people have to go, but if people are interested in staying a little longer, we could. So it's entirely up to you.
For people that are leaving, I have a great abundance of free tea, and there's 2 bags right by the door over there of chamomile and peppermint. So take some handfuls of.
Oh, yeah. I talked to, Do you want to
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Well, I don't know. I have Let me talk to Matt. Thank you. You hid behind the camera when you had so much to say. You're not going to talk to me. So Natalie.